I'm born to lose. That's the way it goes. The city is so cold. I'm so stoned. That's why I know. I said, born to lose. Born to lose. Baby, I'm born to lose. Oh, baby, I'm born to lose. Born to lose. Born to lose. Born to lose. Baby, I'm born to lose. Baby, I'm born to lose. Baby, I'm born to lose. Born to lose.
So what do you know about what happened to Johnny?
Oh, we're gonna do this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna say this. Me and Chuck were sitting over there, right there on the doorstep behind that car. Yeah, got it? Okay, and all of a sudden, the police pulled up. I said, what the hell's going on here? I was playing guitar, we were hanging out. And it was funny, because Chuck said, you watch, the coroner's office is gonna pull up next. Coroner's office pulled up, and I thought, man, must be some old John, some old, maybe a politician, you never know, who went up there, got laid, and died in the middle of it all. You know, had a heart attack. So we were laughing about it. All of a sudden, the plastic bag came out, and I didn't see him when he got in town. I didn't see him at all, other than the time he came out in the plastic bag. And we're saying, God, man, that guy must have died a horrible death. He was bent like a pretzel, like this. And it was real sad. I said, man, and then all of a sudden, the manager of the hotel came out and said, hey, did you send that guy to my hotel? And no, what are you talking about? I said, well, I know because you're from New York, and because sometimes I'll put people in there, managers and whatever agents to come down. I put them in the hotel and right next to my house. So, yeah, you put that guy in my hotel? I said, no, what are you talking about? He said, oh, he's some rock star from New York. His name is Johnny Thunders.
since his girlfriend left him for a college student in Michigan, he's been sucking shit. Yeah, can't take it, huh, Johnny? Give me your shit.
You can tilt and pan. The other way. You want to tighten it? You don't get it too tight. You're going to have to follow him.
You want to put your fingers on or what?
Yes.
I'm almost positive Thunder said HIV, but you know, like most people that find out they're positive, he went through denial, you know? You go, no, not me, but, you know.
It's actually very important starting out.
What was I
The whole
saying?
idea about denial is real important.
Oh, yeah. Most people, when they find out they're positive, they go through, I would think, this period of denial. Not me, you know, but, you know, you share needles with people, and that's what happens. Johnny was a pip. It's too bad. It's sad. If he could have hung there for another month or two, and come back from New Orleans, I could explain everything to him, and he might still be alive today.
Did you know Johnny at the end of his life? When he
Yeah.
was in New York?
He came by within 3 days of leaving for New Orleans.
Say it again, okay?
He came by because he knows I like to smoke herb, and I always have herb. And he wanted to smoke a joint, so I gave him a joint. And that was about 3 days before he took off for, And what's weird is he, you know, he had just landed big contracts with some German studio, and, you know, landed another deal with Japanese, you know, and he was going to make it. So I don't know what went on down there in New Orleans, but it weren't good. I think there's foul play afoot, Watson.
So tell me about the night that he came to your house. You remember what you guys talked about? What you guys did?
No, we just sat there and shot speedballs, coke and heroin. Anyway, I'm about to fade, look. I had some of that NyQuil. That was the idea, though. Talk to you tomorrow.
I went back to my room and my girlfriend, I was in the shower, my girlfriend come out and got me out of the shower. She said, "Do you hear that noise?" And it was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, "What noise?" And all of a sudden I heard it again. Boom. And it happened several times. So my girlfriend, she got fed up with it and she said, "Call the front desk." So that's when I called the front desk and I talked to the lady at the front desk that night. And I did hear his phone ring because the wires were like together. You know, you can hear everything that would go on. I heard the phone ring, but I did not hear the conversation. So I kept calling back the front office, but the line was busy. But I knew the next morning when I walked out my room, they had a black woman in the hallway cleaning up. She opened up the door, and I observed him laying on the floor by the dresser, and that's when he had stuff out of his mouth. He was urinating on, and he passed on himself and everything. And she freaked, you know. First thing she did was run to the office screaming and stuff, and then people come up there, they call the police, coroner's office and stuff, and police was asking me questions, numerous questions and stuff, and I gave them the answers they wanted and stuff, and they said they witnessed somebody, leaving out of here late that night.
I was raised in the street, a city boy, if you please. I forgot more, and you'll ever need. You got a bomb down the street. Hey, you afraid of those curries? The guardian angels are what we need.
My first memory of Johnny, which is really kind of amusing, is I was a small-time hustling little coke dealer, and I was working at a 930 club in D.C. I was a light man for a band called The Vigil, and we were backing them up. And they were on their way to England the next day. And we'd all done a little bit of coke. We were snorting. I was a kid. They were all shooting up. But they were worried because they had to go to London the next day, and how were they going to make it on the plane for the fight without the without being able to shoot up in the airplane, and would they be able to shoot up in the airplane? And I just remember being overwhelmed and amazed that anybody could be like that hardcore, because I had never done junk at that time, and that really surprised me. And it wasn't until years later that I ran into him again, you know. And it was at a beer store on St. Peter's Street, the same street where he died. And at the time, I was speedballing. So I didn't know who he was at first. I said, "You look familiar to me." And he told me who he was. And I said, "Oh, you want to go get high?" My apartment was across the street. So we went over, and we spent the day speedballing. And I'm fanatical about things, and I was a hardcore junkie at the time, but I don't know, I just wasn't like that. So, next thing I know is a couple days later, I hear that he died, half a block from my house. So I start to get massive phone calls from people saying, "What the fuck do you know about this, Danny? We know that's a half a block from your house. We know you know him. Who did it?" I don't know.
Then you'll be coming forward. You're not going back to
You're gonna like. Let's start with the guitar. Start with close-up.
You want to come in over here?
Yeah.
Okay, Dolly's moving.
Moving door.
Okay.
Right here, okay? Right here.
Okay.
Let your drum up.
One more camera.
Rolling.
That motherfucker, man. I tell you, like, talking about John really pisses me off. John and I never got in a real fight or anything, but, I guess your blood is always bad if you do adult.
Just walk around. We're rolling sound. Please, go do that.
Let's start over.
Yeah, let's start over there.
We had just come back from having donuts and coffee at Cafe Du Monde, and as I was walking past the hotel room, they got an air conditioner unit there, and they also have a window right there. and I observed him looking out the window, and I noticed, that's my, room in that hallway, and when I noticed him, he looked obvious. He looked white. He looked pale, real pale, and he stood in the window for at least 20 to 30 minutes because I stood outside, maybe alone. I really wasn't looking at my watch or anything, but he did look paranoid. He did look, out of the ordinary. So I went inside, and as I was walking through the door, I met Johnny right there. And he told me that he was a musician, and he played for the band called the New York Dolls, played the guitar.
Roll sound.
Rolling.
And quiet on set, and roll camera.
What slate should be you?
No, tail slates.
Okay, ready? Camera rolling.
Hello. Well, when the New York Dolls started, like maybe 6 months before they were playing, like, I think the musicians, like, that hung out in New York were, like, very into fashion, Like, it was a competitive thing, and the Dolls had the look down the best. When I first saw them, I was like really impressed. Johnny Thunders looked great. He had the best hairstyle, which, you had to have that rooster one. I didn't like the real long one, but his looked great.
Hey, I think you should get over here.
Guy was like really cool looking, He had a big following of girls, and he just like lift his leg up, and he had these like white, like more narrow type platform shoes. All these girls like grab his leg, and try and pull him in there in the audience, and he could handle it. He'd just kind of fall over backwards and make it back to the line back there, and along with their raw energy and they had like that chord, power sound. And John like had that, rip it up, wind it on down guitar style. They couldn't lose.
We're just patching up some bullshit over here. We can't take this week. when you're a prima ballerina on a spring afternoon. Change on into the wolfman, darling, at the moon. Personality crisis, you got it wild and warm and hot. And nobody touching, nobody concentration on it, that's what you got. I'm trying to tell you about your personal
I don't know if they were gearing themselves to success because they were like instant success. You know, it was like every time they played, I think it was like the real objective of rock and roll, whether it's negative or positive. You know, they were a party, and it was a party on stage, you know, and it was cool, you know. It like I never saw a doll show where I didn't come out like feeling great, you know, like I wanted to play rock and roll. I know at that time a movie came out that was called Let It Be the Day, and somehow like when it took me back, you know, because it was about the beginning of rock in Britain, and it took me back to really understanding why I did this. It was the look. It was cool, you know. It made a young person seem equal to any type of adult opposition, because you could just smirk at them and say, well, you know, you want to look like, I think Jimi Hendrix said that somewhere, you know, like he, you know, just, I'm doing my thing.
all goofed up. I got nowhere to go. Feels like a quiet night on the telephone. My little chatterbox, oh, you squawking on. Come on, give me some of this. Yeah, chatterbox, come on, mama. Yeah, chatterbox, come on, mama. Yeah, chatterbox. Say chatterbox. Baby, you hear me call?
My brother came there that night. I think it was the next day he died. But that night my brother was there and he was there.
I remember when the police went in the bathroom, they said they had all kind of empty bags in there. Oh, they had all kind of, you know, empty bags laying around. Dope or whatever, like they were talking, you know. Right off the bat, they figured it was drug related, you know. I don't know. I don't know why they figured that. I guess because it didn't seem like there was a struggle in that, but you could see there was chairs flipped over from, I guess, from him tripping or whatever. If he did freak or however he died, you know. There was a chair and a table. I mean, the table, it's about that high off the ground, if that. And the way his head, you know, was under it. It don't look, I don't know. I don't know what would he be doing under that. So he had to be doing really hard drugs or whatever, you know. He got into disruption with somebody. I don't want to say that because, you know, I don't know. But it was still, to go back to seeing how he was under that dresser, it wasn't nothing nice. It was a trip outside seeing him blue, you know, blue purple. It was tripped out. His fucking black hair, you know. It was all a mess. And it was tight, you know, it was stiff, swollen blue. And the smell. And I didn't really, you know, want to go up in there, you know. The smell, it was something that when I seen it, you know, I got a weak stomach or whatever. But when I smelled it, you know, it kind of, you know, if I'd have stood in that room, I'd have threw up. You know, I couldn't see it. And then just seeing that dead body, that gave me the chills, fucked up creeps, because, you know, it could have been me lying there.
Everything started changing, you know, like I guess rock is based on rebellion. So I even noticed the Dolls starting to rebel against their own look, you know. And I remember one day the Ramones were rehearsing in Performance Studios, and like, you know, we had already, you know, had decided that we'd be anti-glitter, and I don't know why, you know, because we had so much fun doing that. But we were rehearsing, and so we were in there, and our, you know, looking like this, with our Keds on and all, and I noticed the Dolls came in, and I was hoping John would say something to me, you know, and think I was like his equal or something because I was playing, but he didn't say a word, you know. They just dropped dead silent and stood there and looked at us. And the next, like, couple days later, they came back, and like John was wearing sneakers, which was pretty shocking, you know, to me. And you could tell something was going on. They definitely, like, were one of the coolest groups, and I think that's the Heartbreakers. Dolls too, but the Heartbreakers were really great. I don't know what made, they were both so different, you know, and Johnny Thunders, it seemed like he was like slumming it in the Heartbreakers, you know.
Sleep.
Sound one.
Johnny's room was here, and ours was in the, you know, right next to him. And it was the only two room where you can, just only two rooms that you can get in, and you walk back out. When I come in, Mike and him were in the, he was in the doorway, his room, Johnny was in the doorway of his room, and Mike was standing in the hallway talking to him. And Stacy was behind him. And I walked in, walked to the room, so I went to the store and I dropped the stuff and I eased back out, you know, and I was talking to him, introduced myself. And then later on, we had all got together and we had some money. When Stacy come back, had some money, we ran into him and, you know, we went drinking.
All right, and roll tape.
Rolling.
You ready?
Yes, well.
Camera roll two.
No, roll.
You got roll camera?
Okay.
Okay. And just direct it towards me. No,
All right.
Right into me. And roll tape.
Oh.
Roll camera. Wait a second. Tape is rolling. Take it easy. When you're ready.
Camera rolling.
Okay, and whenever you're ready, man.
Well, I think the reason Johnny Thunders, you know, maybe slumming it isn't the right word, even though we're all living in the slums, you know. Like, I think relating to, like, how our look went down the drain, like our clothes, we couldn't get the right gear anymore. It's because all our drug habits had gotten very serious. They were fueled by, you know, being in the bands and, like, having, like, living in an illusion, and just, you know, wanting to have something to do.
How about a song like Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue? Like,
well, that's like, comes out of an adolescence trauma that all us kids probably went through. And I guess all the kids had to sniff it, you know.
what do you want to say about that?
Now I want to have something to do. Now I want to sniff some glue. It's really frustrating. It's really just a frustrating thing, you know. Because there was nothing else to do but just to sniff glue. We got something better to do now.
And we got close through heroin.
I'm sorry. No, can you guys want to go hard? So you need to
Tail slave.
Yeah.
So I saw the light. That's why I cut it.
Was that all right, Mark?
Yes, very good.
How'd it look? It seemed like we stayed on the, we were stopped moving for a while.
That's good. I
Okay,
want to watch the shot.
So I'll make sure that you want that.
Yeah, no, I...
Okay. Exactly. I can't see.
What was the last thing we talked about?
I know that we were stuck there.
You know, he said that he was in New Orleans at one time, which I really couldn't recall when, but he didn't really get into it, you know, like talk about it.
It's a German Mauser. Look right there. And right there. On this part especially. You can see the eagle and he's got the fucking swastika in his claws. That's from World War II. That's a piece of fucking work, that gun, man. That gun is from World War II. It has never been cleaned.
Is that Johnny here?
That's me.
They're right there, in that pin.
Yeah. That's really old. Boy, you got a good eye.
Equivalent of double X. I forget the number on it. It's equivalent of double X. They're black and white. For rock videos, they got really great.
Oh, you fucking old boy, motherfucker. I'm the fucking dance to get up your fucking demented fucking high heel fucking asshole shoes, man. Fucking have a good time and get the fuck out. We got your $10 already. We don't give a fuck.
So where are you going to start now?
From John, like where he was playing Stoned, and then like I'm going to take it to after the show, and what happened the next morning, and lead into Chinese rocks.
I think it was incredible how much Chinese rock. Like really give me like great details in there.
All right.
What is Chinese rock's about?
All right.
Go to two, go to two. Because she's got a prefix for it. Oh, you want for your focus mark.
Right there.
Yeah, go to
That's
two.
not my mark.
That's not yours?
No, come back, come back.
Yep, there we go.
That's
Right?
it.
Okay.
Is there one going on the camera?
The what?
I could go on for beyond the Chinese rock story.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
But really think of
This is
No.
third bag of shots.
Yeah.
I am.
Chunks. If you
All
want
right.
to go,
Yeah, I
I'll work with
think
you.
I can, maybe. We'll have to see
Okay.
how it goes. All right. Looking for some rocks. All right.
All right.
When it comes to dope.
Yep, all right. All right, you guys ready?
Let somebody, man. Let the kids in front. They want to have a good time. Let them fucking dance. But you fucking smelly motherfuckers. Who the fuck want to dance next to Africans anyway?
You know, a typical like Heartbreakers show definitely didn't revolve around a sound check and a set list. It involved in like going to Cop in the afternoon and setting it up so when you got paid after the show, you had to deal it in. You could get high all night if you were lucky. One good thing is we all drank. And that you can entice people up there and get them drunk and then take their dope when they passed out. Take it out of pocket. And that, you know, that was like one of the techniques, beating people. You know, I'd go get John a few bags of dope. And of course, I'd take a little out and then put it back together, put some oatmeal in there. Well, it was the Chinese rocks, it was the brown dope. That's how it got the name, Chinese rocks, because it was brown and it was supposed to come from Mexico, which it didn't. Really, it was a cover of you know, a diversion technique. I was still coming from New York. And we went through some crazy scenes, like, you know, running down the Bowery and freezing, you know, just running and running with dope in our hands. And the police stopping us because they thought we had just did a B&E, you know. We said, no, we didn't, you know. And then I think I would even say, no, we're just going to, you know, get high. You know? So I don't know, I didn't know why. I was always in a daze. I was so casual about everything. Even though I wasn't like openly discussing it, it was very obvious what I was doing because I was always sleeping. And I think that the people who know Johnny Thunders from the Heartbreakers will remember him as like a dazed type of guy. And I don't know if he lost...
Hold it. Slate it.
Tell Slate, sound 3.
Show you something really cool that he gave me. This is really sharp. He said he brought it back from on tour somewhere from Europe. Whoa. It's original. I brought it to like military stores and antique shops and stuff.
So what did he say about that?
About that?
Yeah.
He just bought it for me. You know, he used to have a whole bunch of, not Nazi stuff, you know, in the anti-Semitic sense, but, you know, stuff like that, just for the look, I suppose. And he had a whole bunch of stuff. When he'd come back, he had, you know, a suitcase full of medals and all that crap. And he gave it to me because he had taken a picture of me with the flag behind me. You know, and he said, here, you know, he said, that'll go with your photograph.
So I guess it's like, you know, we were all misery addicts, or we all wanted to create a lot of chaos, and we had a better excuse. It's always an excuse. And a depressing show was the best excuse. You know? The show was always depressing because we brought it upon ourselves. Because, you know, we didn't spend the money on clothes anymore. We spent it on Smash, you know. And we were getting sick all the time. Me, Johnny Thunders, John started being known for being sloppy on stage, which people loved him for. John would come in 20 minutes towards the end of the set, and they wouldn't even have his guitar on. He'd fall over and then they'd go off. But when he'd come back out, he had been, you know, amping up that, you know. And then he'd want to play, you know. And, oh man, I'm in the mood. The other guys are worn out. Like, oh man, John, what are you taking? We on. He had a little secret formula. It was cocaine. And he would like go and play and be so happy and then like run off every 5 minutes and then we'd have to wait, come back, play, you know, finally he'd just have to leave, you know. And then, you know, he'd get worn out and, you know, depressed. It was a good excuse for us all to pool our resources. Then we, you know, said, oh, well, I guess, you know, that guitar, I could go sell that in a pawn shop, or, you know, this chick looks like she'd be good for some dough, or whatever, you know, we get the money together by the morning and go get high. So that's, you know, that's what dope is about, like misery, you know. And I guess it was necessary to make the music we were doing because it was based on hostility, it was based on anger, and, you know, it was based on destruction. Destroy. And that's all we wanted to do. And we thought nothing of it. We thought nothing of what we took from people, the abuse we put our friends through, and it just didn't matter as long as we got dope, you know.
I knew he was coming to town here, but I didn't know he'd gotten in town. I think he may have spoke to Willie DeVille. I'm not sure, because I think Willie lives on St. Peter Street. And he died at the St. Peter Street guest house, which is like, you know, a block or two away or something like that.
first time I really came down here, about 11, 12 years ago. I came down here, I tried to cop reefer on Bourbon Street. I gave the guy the money, ended up chasing the motherfucker through chicken joints, greasy chicken joints, trying to get this motherfucker, took my money. Here's this white boy from New York chasing these guys through, I mean, like real chicken joints, greasy chicken joints. Anyway, that's the kind of shit that can happen. So I'm sure that Johnny came down here. The place, the tragedy is in the ground. Things can happen down here that don't even happen in New York. You know, it's not the same thing. There's a certain magic. Call it voodoo, call it magic, call it a black spell, call it whatever you want. Something can happen down here. If you just come down here and you think that you can just fall in here and everything is going to go your way, you got a lot of surprises coming because it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen that way. You can end up dead because there's so many slimy street hustlers. You have homosexual hustlers. You got prostitutes. You got drug dealers. This is New Orleans. This is the way probably New Orleans was back in the old days in the 19th century, the 1800s. This is New Orleans. These are modern-day pirates.
And Stacy went out to make some money.
Yeah,
right?
she wanted to make some money.
So describe like how that went down, okay? And how much did she make and like what happened?
Well, you see, we were in the room. Me and Mike was in the room for about 30, 40 minutes. And she come back with about $60, $70 on her. And we went, you know, after about 30, 40 minutes of waiting, she had come back because we were waiting on her. She come back, gave him the money, and we all went out on it, you know. Went drinking. That's when we met up with Johnny, and we went to Pat Oak. Stood there and got pretty drunk.
Like when us, you know, we went out, you know, really, you know, showed them around and everything. But it really wasn't like a show around thing. It was just to go out and have a good time, you know what I'm talking about? And yeah, he did spend, you know, most of his money. You know, I mean, I bought, you know, a couple of daiquiris for myself and my girlfriend. But, you know, he treated some. You know, it wasn't like, you know, like if I went to buy something, you know, it was like, no, you know. And I was like, you know, confrontations and crossover and things. But, he was, you know, he was really respectful, you know. He showed a lot of respect towards others, you know. And his personality is what, and his English, you know, is what came across to my girlfriend. Really brought her close from the beginning. You know, she didn't want to have nothing to do with him because of what she saw.
Right, so I just want to like clear this up so it makes sense, you know. Right?
What?
So she went out to do what? I mean, can you tell us what she?
Oh, what she went to do?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, you know, her description, I don't know, she went out to make money by getting, you know, blowjobs.
The only people's names I heard mentioned in connection with the whole thing were like such fucking vermin, you know, like, you know, these fucking guys that, you know, French Quarter hustlers, you know, they'll go home with a guy one night for $20, you know, going with a drag queen the next, going with a chick the next. It's all based around cash and narcotics, you know, and they live in these fucking ratty rooming houses, you know, or where someone will put them. Almost any kind of crime is, you know, nothing's out of the question as far as those guys go, you know, as far as drugs, sex, crime, anything, you know, day-to-day action.
Well, about Chinese rocks now. So the lyrics of the song, like, basically tell the whole, like, daily life of someone like me or anyone that was in that scene in New York then. It's like basically, you know, you want to go get Chinese rock, and then you say, well, everything is in the pawn shop because that was the way you got it, or you had like a go-go dancer girlfriend and that stuff, you know, and then she'd come in to give you the money, and you'd get it for her and you, or your pals would give you money, and you'd rip them off and all. And I guess that's where John learned that stuff. Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. Chinese rock. All my best things are in hot living on a Chinese rock. Everything is in the pawn shop. Shower star, it's hot as a bitch. I should have been rich, but I'm just fucking some Chinese bitch. I'm living on a Chinese rock. All my best things are in hot. I'm living on a Chinese rock. Everything is in the pawn shop. Shower star, sad as a bitch. I should have been rich, but I'm just digging that Chinese ditch. I'm living on a Chinese rock. All my best things are in hot. I'm living on a Chinese rock. Everything is in the pawn shop. I'm living on a Chinese rock. I'm living on a Chinese rock. I'm living on a Chinese rock. I love it on Chinese rock. I'm living on a Chinese rock. I'm living on a Chinese rock.
We were coming out of a hallway, and this like lunatic burst in there, threw a karate kick, and held a knife up. And I said, man, that's no way to do it. I mean, you know, kick a guy with sneakers, come on, you know, skinny little guy. We just pushed him out of the way and walked out the door, but somehow I got caught. It was no big deal. It was just part of life then. But we go upstairs, and we were obviously a bit drained, you know. We didn't want to go back down there. And John was there, and he was like complaining. He said, oh, get us some dope, get us some more dope. And I said, no, 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 no. And he wouldn't like take the hint. I said, go get it yourself, you know. And he said, no, you know, he was like demanding it, like he had like seniority in the clique there or something. You know, he was the top guy, and I wasn't going for that then because I was like Dee Dee Ramone now. You know, I said, this is like really rude of this guy, you know? Treat me like this, order me to go get the dope. I'll get it if I want to, and if I don't, I won't. So finally I was like drained, and I said, John, why the hell would I go get some dope for you right now? You know? And he said, well, so you have the privilege of hanging out with a rock star. You know, I just didn't know what to think of things anymore. I just wanted to be by myself, you know. But John, I would just avoid him from then on. And that was like my life. But after, I never forgot what John said to me, you know, and I disliked him from that day.
He had saliva coming out of his mouth and all, like he was foaming at the mouth. He was dressed all in black. He had black pants, he had black shoes on, and he had a black shirt on. And the only thing he had white on was his skin, because it turned completely white from I guess, dying. I touched his hand and I felt his heart to see if I could feel a pulse, but there was nothing. He was gone. He must have been gone for hours. I told the maid and I told the desk clerk he was dead, that they needed to call the police and the ambulance. So they went in and they called the police and the ambulance. The clerk, she got all upset. She started crying because the guy had called her the night before and he wanted to talk to her, and she told him to come up there, and he never did, and she felt like if he would have came up there and talked to her, she could have did something to save his life. But he never did come, so the next morning they found him, the maid found him, and she come and got me, and we called the ambulance and the police. What the room looked like is if it was either he was trying to get out of it, or he was in a struggle, or somebody went through his room and just totally tore it apart, looking for something. That's what it looked like. Somebody went through all this stuff or something. His stuff was just laying everywhere on the floor and everything.
What's the word on the street? What do you hear on the street?
What did I hear immediately?
What's your
You killed Johnny Thunder. I mean, but it wasn't true. Because the last time I saw him, he was totally alive and he was leaving, he was going to his hotel room. I was out of dope, I was going to my dope dealers.
You know, he was pretty street fucking wise. That guy knew the ropes, so I can't imagine him getting hooked up with an asshole. And I mean, the thing is, okay, anybody buying drugs can get beat once, okay? You know, that's nature of the fucking game. You know, but I mean, he always lived by the saying, you know, fuck me once, that's your fault. Fuck me twice, that's my fault. You know, so I can't imagine him going back another time. You know, when he had at least Willie and I'm sure he still had my number, that he could have called to get him drugs.
Around 1978, 1979, like Thunders and I kind of, you know, wouldn't really see much of each other. And we did on and off, but it was very short, very brief. And I think in 1988 or something like that, I left the Ramones, and I saw John again. And it wasn't really so bad, even though that he got off in my bathroom, the usual, you know, all the silverware was gone. You know, I kind of got an inkling that it might have started a relapse, which would have probably happened anyway. But something about that really set me off, you know. And I started, you know, really realizing I could never be around Thunders again. Now, about you know, maybe 6 months or so after I left the Ramones, I got a call from Paris from Steve Bators. And he said, you want to come over and play in a band? And during the course of the conversation, he said, John, so you want to say hello to him? And I was very firm and very direct to the point. I said, I cannot talk to John. And we did end the discussion on the phone, and we had a lot of others that I would go to Paris with my ex-girlfriend Laura, and my ex-management company thought it was a good idea. And but it was all out in the open that I would not go to play with Johnny Thunders, or I would not even go in the house if he was there. So, you know, I end up in Paris. Steve and Carol pick me and Laura up at the airport. We drive over to the house, and he's sitting there, all depressed, total misery addict. And my heart went out to him. I mean, he was just so sad, you know. And I was shocked, you know. I hadn't realized how bad you could end up.
Everybody wait outside. Everybody wait outside.
Steve started telling me right away, let's all go to sleep now because we want to get on a day schedule so we can like feel not depressed and walk around the daytime. And he said we should take like some sleeping pills so we'll get a good sleep. Then all the craziness started, you know. There's like really serious evil vibes in this place. And Steve Bators is a very psychic person, and he was like very in touch with I guess the spirit world. He was like, I don't know if this is true what I'm saying, but he made suggestions of satanic messages being sent there. And I asked him about the constant cold in the place, and he said that was the sign of it, you know, that the devil was in the house. And I sure believed it, you know, and I know he was there. If such a thing could happen, then it definitely happened then. It's really weird what was going on, you know. And we could not use the phone. We did not know how to get around. We tried to escape. We made it out of the house one day, and we went down to Pigalle on the subway. And the first thing we saw there was like a boss and 2 enforcers kidnap a guy right on the street. And I was thinking, what is this guy on? You know, because he kept falling down. And then I knew, because they started rapping their fist on the car windows, I knew they had knuckle dusters on, and they were going to, you know, collect. And the reason I'm like saying this, it's like just something like out of, you know, one of these horror movies where they see like, you know, dogs that turn satanic. Everywhere you look, you know, if there's a statue, it'll turn into a insane mummy, you know, and attack you, you know. Everywhere we saw there was violence. And these 2 guys kidnapped him down the street, and he tried to start a fight with one guy. He slapped him just to create a diversion, and the guy pulled out a blade, and then he realized that the guy was, you know, being taken to collect, and he like kicked over the tables and the chairs in the sidewalk cafe, trying to maybe have the waiters come out and start trouble. Nothing worked. We watched as they took him around the alley and worked him over and probably killed him. Now, Thunders was playing a solo show at Jibby's in Paris the next night, and I think he was leaving the next morning. He had packed everything before the show, and Laura and I didn't want to go, but Carol insisted to the point of where I could not find my coat, and there was definitely a lack of communication. I could not explain to her that at that point I was like drug-free. I didn't want to go to Jibby's where every junkie in Paris would be there because, you know, a little play down on that.
My best player. One of my best friends. Bennett. All right, you?
I wanted to see John. I wanted to go out, but I couldn't go out on top of everything without my coat. So they just left us eventually. I don't know how we got out of going. And I think she did come back and get us. But by that time, you know, I just thought, oh man, John must be stealing everything. I opened his suitcase and there was my coat.
Hey man, can you tune good to the harp? How?
It was a bad scene. I better think about what I must say now. You know, I wanted to kill them all. You know, I definitely wanted to kill Laura, John, Carol, anyone, and I was worried about it, and because I was always just getting nicked in any way by the skin of my teeth, just being Dee Dee, you know. And then they told me before the kids that this tattoo means like fuck the police in French, and they beat the hell out of me, you know, every day. And so, man, you know, I couldn't even take a good yelling at this point. I was so nervous, you know. I would have just broken down into it, you know. Well, I'm finished, all right. I don't have nothing left. And you know, I am Dee Dee, and I'm gonna act out to it, right? I'm far from perfect. And I want to say, now, how can I settle this? How can I fucking settle? I just sat them all down there, and I put like 4 stilettos on the table. And I had one. I said, let's go for it, you know. No one make a move. And Laura was like just ice, man. And I sat there and I said, you know, I realized it wasn't much of a fight. It was like weird, you know. I couldn't get any satisfaction. There was nothing I could do. I mean, there are all these like little skinny guys, and these 2 girls or whatever. I don't know, you know. I said, well, how am I going to take this? You know, what am I going to do? You know? And Laura just said, let's get out of town, you know. I said, how the hell can we get out of here? We don't even know how to use the phone. I want you dead too, because you drove me crazy. You wouldn't give me a break on this, man. I said, fuck the watch, fuck all of it, you know. I said, I've like had it, you know. I just don't give a damn. But you know, you got this like respect thing with your girlfriend on. I know she was right, you know. I think she was right. It was like street justice. And that's the only kind we knew.
Hey, asshole. If you don't shut up, why don't you go stand in the back, okay? It's all fucking free. Don't tell me it wasn't you. Just get your ass to the back or I'll kick you in the face again. You open your fucking mouth.
I didn't say anything, okay?
Well, if you say anything again, then you really know. I don't know exactly what you said, but you say it again. But you say it.
I want to hear it now. Hey, man.
And get your fucking mouth that fat. I mean, don't waste my time, I won't waste yours. Born in Red House, Brooklyn. Why are you fucking talking when I'm singing? Hey, man. No, well, I'm not listening to you, girl. Yeah, I know that. So shut your fucking mouth. Now get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Hey, take it easy. I ain't moving anywhere.
Sid was my one motto. He never fucking sucked into the fucking bureaucracy. He had morals, I tell you. He didn't compromise. It's real important. Let me tell you something. At my age, I'm old enough to be most of your fathers, grandfathers, some of you. It's real important to fucking have fucking, what's it called? Oh. You know, to have something you believe in. And not fucking give in to fucking money, fucking sex, fucking dope.
I feel so lucky to be alive. Had so many friends who lost their lives. It's getting so hard to understand why. Well, we all get our chance to beat the odds. But who beats the odds? I feel hurt, I feel sad, I feel lonely, I feel bad, I feel disappointed in you. Wilson had something to say. I guess it was in their own confusing way. Maybe they hear when they were crying out. When they were crying out, asking for a helping hand. I feel hurt, I feel sad, I feel lonely, I feel mad, I feel disappointed.
Last time I saw him was probably like 88, 89 or something like that. And I talked to him on the phone maybe twice around that time. And he'd come to town, came to New Orleans, like around 90, or early 91 or something like that. And I don't even know why. Maybe, you know, at that time he was thinking about kicking, you know, was thinking about, because he knew Willie DeVille had moved down here.
that night when they got everything out the apartment and me and my girlfriend and my brother and my brother's friend decided to leave and go out, I was surrounded by 5 or 6 police cars by gunpoint. And they handled me, threw me on the ground, my brother, my girlfriend, and my friend. Matter of fact, all 3 of us did go to jail except for my girlfriend. They took us, put us in handcuffs in the back of the car and brought us down to the bureau. When we got there, I was like, damn, what's going on? You wanted to ask some questions for somebody that OD'd in the hotel room. You was last seen with them. And we had 4 or 5 people saying that you was last seen with them. And I was like, yeah, I was with him, what do you want to know? I told them what they wanted to know and everything, and I waited there for about 2 or 3 hours. And they came back and they said, all right, we're going to give y'all a ride right back where you got to go to. It's classified as a natural overdose. Since you wasn't in the room when the lady found him in there or anything, and, I said, well, what do you mean? You trying to say I murdered this guy or something? He says, no. We just going by what another person said that you were seen with him numerous times. And I was like, well, who is this person? So when he dropped me off, he said he lived right there.
Did you go to the room?
Yeah, that night, because the girl, she was afraid to go in there herself. She said, Will, I know you knew that guy. Would you go in there with me? Because I'm kind of afraid. I've never seen anybody who died before, the room they died. And I said, sure, it's okay, I'll go with you. So we went in, and she was packing up the bag, and well, by that time, he was down at the coroner's office. And, yeah, we went in there and just kind of helped her pack up the bags, basically. That's what it was about.
How did that room look?
It looked like there were clothes all over the place, and there was some change on the floor, and there was some clothes in the closet that he had hung up, I guess, which we put in the bag, and basically that was it. Look, real vacant. You know what I mean? Vacant. Because death is so final. It's a real final motherfucker. Death is final.
At times I did see Willie DeVille have his glasses on, a tiger striped hat, like a Bombo hat, a couple other articles of his clothing and stuff.
What do you mean, say that again? He had what?
A couple.
You mean he had Johnny stuff?
Yeah.
Tell me that again. Right?
He lives next door to the hotel, and evidently he must know these people, whatever. But the lady next door, the lady that works in the hotel, she had to ask them to help her get the stuff out of there. So I was in there when they was packing the stuff and everything. And I observed him with glasses on. That was his, because, I was with him. I seen him wear the hat. Glasses in the hat. And, she, a couple of his shirts he had, like striped ties, whatever. I don't know if they were ties or not. But, they did carry some of the stuff to the front office, and the lady was like, well, y'all can have what y'all want. I really don't care. He's dead.
So anyway, we came out. And I helped the girl pack up the suitcase, and we came out, and ever since then, the police are still, not the police, but the newspapers, I'm sorry, not the police. The police have been very good about it. They're taking care of their business, which I hope they catch whoever, if there was any foul play involved, I hope they catch the son of a bitches, but, I just, that was it. Basically, that was it.
You know what I like? Is that like the story about the hat? I think it's a great story.
The hat, yeah, but see, with the hat, thing with the hat, it may make the police think there was something more happening than there was. What happened was, actually, I don't even want to put this on film, man.
Really?
Because it's dangerous.
I'll be right back.
Going to look for a job?
Yeah, I gotta talk to this lady.
Hold on to this. Let me go get a harmonica here for me. Get
For me, like, you know, I've been there, you know, and I made it through it. Like, these are like what I got out of it, you know. I got my tracks, they're gone, you know. I don't have to shoot dope no more. And I got my history on my arms, you know. And, like, I never understood how I fought, you know. But I noticed, like, every one of my tattoos has the claw, you know, on it. And I guess it's like, sort of like that dragon thing, you know? Like, instead of punching somebody, you can, like the claw, you know, and all that, which I don't do, but if you're a musician, I guess it saves your hands, you know? But I call this, like, sharpening the claws, you know? Like playing my guitar. Because, let's see, this thing plays by itself, listen. Uh-oh. Drugs. See? And, like why they sharpen the claws, I guess to crush somebody's head open like they do in the karate movies. They have to, like, a strong thing their fingers. I'm going to call you. See? Now that's how I have fun now. I like to play this guitar. Thing that, like, Johnny Thunders, I asked him to show me this asshole. You know, he would, I mean, he's, you know, he could have showed me. He feebly made an attempt. I think he, like, bends, like, I don't know. But I do it. John was an incredible guitar player, though. A lot of people, I think, recently haven't seen, you know, that saw John in the last 6 years or whatever. I don't think they got to see him, like, always at his best. You know, John might have been getting bored, and, like, I don't play bass anymore, right? Everybody, for every defect, everybody has 20 others, like, they're just, I don't know what I'm saying. They'll all come out on this guitar playing when you play that. But John, you know, he was always like, and he could really bend, you know. And the guy's, you know, was famous for his guitar style, no matter what. A lot of people, just like me, and like countless other musicians, just would have had no clue how to play this thing, no matter who played it before us, until John played the guitar, you know. And I like, you know, the blues. It's like, I don't know why. Because I'm an outlaw pop-up.